I got into a habit of like starting every video with, I'm like, I don't even want to do it, but it's like, oh.
Don't do it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/Padilla because sometimes existing is exhausting. And if you want to watch this episode completely ad-free, completely uncensored, click the join button down below to become a member and support this series. Anyway.
Hello, Grace.
Hi, Anthony.
Hello, it's good to see you. Hello, Kassem
Great to see you.
Kassem G.
Yeah,
Specifically, there's a G.
because my last name is like 17 consonants in a row, so I just tried to make it easy.
Hello, Tyler.
Hi.
It's been a minute. Do you like this? After we've already spoken,
You know
we've
what?
already spoken and hugged each other, and now it's a dainty little.
I felt
Yeah.
when Dan was like, are we doing this?
Did you think I was going for a bro handshake?
I don't know.
Do I give out bro-y vibes?
Baby, you don't want the answer to that. You do not.
Can you believe that YouTube has been around now for multiple generations? It's spanned multiple generations. I think it's literally 18 years old this month.
Do you think that this is a thing because we took a chance on it, or is that too much like of like a ownership we take?
I feel like that era needed to occur in the way that it did in order for things to unfold in the way they have, in order for
Totally agree.
the Mr. Beast era, huge videos. Well, also literally that you could not make that kind of content when we got started because there was no way to make money when we got started.
Yeah, my first check was like $200. It seemed like money that just came out of the thin air. And all of a sudden, my perspective on like where I should be focusing my energy changed overnight. And I was like, this thing that was happening on YouTube was way more exciting.
Would you consider yourself an OG YouTuber? Like, is there a way to describe the era that you came from?
I would not consider myself an OG YouTuber because I remember making videos while I was in undergrad and taking an editing class. I remember seeing like Michael Buckley and iJustine and Olga and Kassem and not you guys so much. No,
Hey,
that's
someone needed
before.
to say it.
So I feel like, yeah, it was kind of this second wave maybe. Because I also ended up getting a job at the time making video content for another website called My Damn Channel. And I started to get kind of recognized in the community. I started to build an audience on YouTube. And then I started to meet creators and got really into collaborating with everyone.
So you were one of the biggest YouTubers of your era.
That's sweet.
What? What? You were.
Okay.
You were literally a household name with anyone that watched YouTube.
Okay. That's so weird. But go on.
Shall I continue praising you
Yeah,
or not?
yeah.
Are you gonna stop me from praising you?
I'd never stopped you.
What was your relationship with your fame at the time that you were probably the most popular that you had ever been?
Like feeling this chase that you're in, that you're really trying to like keep up with, that you will never you'll never be able to like outdo yourself every single time.
Right,
And
that becomes a
get more
goal.
views every single time. You'll never be able to, I don't know, it felt like a never-ending chase. I mean, at some point I just kind of like stopped paying attention to the numbers and more so I got into this habit of every year I would make a video of 100 things that I did that year. And it was my last video of the year and it became like, oh, is this something I want to say yes to so that I can put it in my 100 things video? And then I started just like collecting things in my year thinking what will make an impressive end year experience. And so when I was doing stuff, I'm like, oh, that's going to be good footage.
Right, you were
Not
almost...
because I'm like, oh, this is incredible and I want to like live this life. It was like, oh, this is something that I think is impressive. I would say yes to things that I didn't want to do only because I thought it was the right thing that I should be doing as a creator. And so much of being a creator back then was like uncharted territory that like I didn't know what I was supposed to get up to.
As I started to get to know everyone and I started to understand just like the scope of everyone's freedom creatively, and my manager at the time, who was more in the traditional realm of comedy, it took him some time, but started to realize the value of this silly internet world and was able to kind of work with me to start a conversation with My Damn Channel about having more ownership of the content and or changing the rate of pay, because at that time I could see I was doing everything like a normal creator was.
Like literally you had access to the analytics?
Yeah, everything. Like I uploaded, they didn't touch the channel till the end when they tried to change the password and lock me out. I was literally operating every day like every other creator. I was just getting a paycheck in the mail
So you
at
could
the
see
time.
all this.
So I could see that they're making 14 grand a month or something on this channel and paying me like 3 grand of it.
And you're coming up with the creative concepts, you're recording, you're
Every
editing,
day.
you're uploading,
Yeah.
you're managing.
I had no other team. I was the full team of everything, every single day.
The ironic part was that was my damn channel was not your damn channel at
I
all.
know, isn't that the
It's
universe is a comedian?
You co-founded the first MCN, the first multi-channel network?
Yes, it was eventually became the first multi-channel network, MCN, which is like a naughty word now.
The people
And
aren't
I
happy
agree.
with what MCNs
I agree,
became.
they suck. But
But you were there on the ground floor creating this thing that eventually sold to Disney for
yes.
$500 million. Like, I just want to let that set in for a second.
Yeah,
$500 million to Disney.
right. And I got
Disney.
$400 million of it.
Can't you tell this man is made of money?
We started a studio, right? It was me, people like Philip DeFranco, Shay Carl, Shane Dawson was there, Lisa Nova, Hi, I'm Ron, Dave Days. We all created a studio because we realized we were being bottlenecked by like our output. And so we hired directors and editors, like camera people. We had rented a space that had a green screen.
You were the first YouTubers, as far as I know, to create an in-house production company.
Yeah, and now look at you. You're in-house. It was weird because it became, so the second like an investor came on board, everything became about like, well, how do these people like, how does it grow? How does it scale? Oh my God, the amount of times we heard people say like, scale, like we gotta scale. And at the time I'm being like, asked to do things. I'm signing with like big time Hollywood managers. I'm like asked to do this movie. I'm being like way stretched out and overexposed beyond like my skill level, beyond my comfortability. I don't know. I just no one had done it before. And so there wasn't a guy like that had gone through this YouTube thing years before that could sit me down and be like, this is what you got to do, man. They're going to try and get you to do this. They're going to try and get you to do that. You've got to say no.
The first 6 years of being a YouTuber, it was not even a thought in my head that I would ever do it full time. And so when that happened, I was like, I'm gonna just ride this. And I will assume it's gonna end in a month. I will assume it's gonna be over in a year and nobody's gonna care in a year. And then every year it was like more and more things, more and more opportunities. And I just never wanted to say no because I always felt like, okay, I'm not gonna get this opportunity again. My mental health was not good.
Yeah.
Between like depression and anxiety and especially social anxiety with like how accidentally social my life had become. I was trying to just make videos in my room.
Yeah.
And then it became talking to strangers, like in real life, like, you know, interviewing people or being social for hours at a meet and greet. Like all of those things are so not my natural
Your
state.
true nature.
I'm not trying to talk and hang.
You find yourself very introverted. And
Oh my God, yeah.
I would never have thought that from the way that I saw you interact with the world.
Yeah. I was at Tyler Oakley. I was giving you the whole gig.
You were the persona, the identity.
That's what it felt like. You want to live up to that in person. And so like at a VidCon, you're like trying to maintain that.
For 24 hours.
Yeah,
Or
and for these kids are waiting hours in line and you're like getting glared at by their parents and you're trying to give everyone that experience that they're hoping to have. And yeah, it's a lot of pressure on yourself, myself that I put.
And at the same time, it feels like you shouldn't even acknowledge these things because these are
Gifts.
These are great problems to have, right?
It was aspirational to even have a meet and greet line. And so like to be stressed by the meet and greet line felt ungrateful and so you want to be exactly how you think they want you to be. And so you start to become a parody of yourself.
That's what I just kept, I'm like, this is the most unbelievable job I've ever had. This is so, I can't believe it. I've never had to work at a desk if I didn't want to. And this was like, there's no space to complain. This is great. I'm having a great time. I'm making people laugh.
And you're making that exact same smile always because, you know, life is great and you never have problems.
And it's great, and it's great. And you can go to someone else's channel for transparency on problems. Not here. You're here for funny times only.
Yeah, and we keep it fun and lighthearted always.
Always, always, always.
We were like the first born children of like a dysfunctional family, and like we just got to sort of ride it out. And fame on the internet at the time was, we thought was different, you know, but then we would go out in the public and like you'd get recognized and you'd be like, I don't think this is different. I think we're just, people know who we are because YouTube is becoming like it's rivaling TV, and people are watching us just as much as they're watching their favorite primetime shows. And it was weird. I developed crazy anxiety over like being recognized, and I had panic attacks, and I was like drinking and smoking so much weed, and like the more money I had, the more I was starting to spin out. I like had all these little cracks, and then when everything sort of like exploded overnight, those cracks became big old canyons because everything was exacerbated. People see us talk about the hardships of like what it was like to become rich and famous, and it's like, oh, well, so I feel so bad for Cass, but like there are content creators now that are watching this or like making stuff, and they're feeling the same way, and they feel like they can't express themselves because they're considered successful or they have money.
People are like, you chose to have this problem. This is a blessing. This is a gift that you have in the world, and yet you're burdened by this amazing opportunity that I wish I had.
Yeah, that's valid. It's all valid, but I can only speak from my experience, which is this is what happened to me. And this is what happened to like many of my friends and a lot of people that we came up with was no one told us how to act or like how to behave. And any sort of underlying problem was only amplified by all this. And where I'm at today and what I've learned is like my happiness and my mental health is the most important thing. What I want to be is a smaller creator that has a really great community. A small niche community. But what I ended up being was a big creator that was very uncomfortable with the attention, couldn't handle the output of like what it means to be like a creator at the top. I couldn't feed that never-ending machine, the hunger that like audiences have for more and more. I couldn't do it.
It's so strange. These are a lot of things that I've never said on camera because I feel like these are feelings that I've shamed myself for having because they are such great privileges to have these kinds of problems.
Yeah, but you're a human.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to feel human feelings.
Yes. What were the feelings that you were running away from that you actually had? Because it was masking something.
Feelings of like inadequacy, like I'm afraid of, essentially we're all afraid of not getting the things we want, and we're afraid of losing the things we have. That's ultimately, we're just all driven by fear at all times.
Yeah.
And every move we make is, not everyone, but like back then, at least for me, every move I was making was a response to a fear. Fear of not having financial security, a fear of not being liked. And there was just no other way for me to operate because I didn't have the role models that I think maybe I needed to like teach me how to like operate.
Would you say that the more success that you started to build, the unhappier that you became?
Yeah, you can correlate to the most success I had was the unhappiest I was. I had just like bought a house and I had a nice dog and I had a girlfriend, and like, you know, it would seem like, oh, that guy just likes to drink at 2 in the afternoon. Like, you know, I was just kind of like a drunk guy, you know, it was high all the time.
A high drunk guy.
A high drunk guy. And it was, I just had all that available to me. And so instead of like feeling the feelings
and processing them
and having to figure out who I was, it was just a lot easier to just get high in the morning. And it was easier to think about like, oh, who are we going to hang out with today? You know, like what are we going to go shoot? What are we going to go do?
It's all these external things. It's like the internal world.
You keep yourself busy. Like I have this project I'm working on. I've got to go this has a deadline. They put all the sort of work stuff in front of it to kind of like cover up what's underneath.
Well, when you give yourself external goals, you don't have to worry about the internal goals.
Yeah, because
there are no internal.
Yeah, because my internal goals aren't going to pay the bills. Right? That's what we're taught.
Yeah.
My internal goals, which is being like a happy person and somebody that people like interacting with, doesn't pay my gas bill. But I would make the argument that it kind of does. Like it kind of happens.
When you zoom out far enough, any amount of work that you put into yourself, I feel benefits you in the long run. It's just that it's hard to see.
Absolutely.
It's hard to zoom out.
It's hard to zoom out because it can take years for people to see the returns on their personal investment like that. If you're watching and you're trying to get into content because you see a bunch of people living cool lives and you see, you know, all the money and the cars and like it's like, honestly, that's...
Look them in the fucking eyes, bro.
You are watching... Here's something, if you just go by this rule, right?
Yeah.
Everything you see from your favorite content creators is put there by that content creator for you to see. And it's all done in a way to promote themselves and make themselves appear a certain way. And it is so detrimental for us as viewers to watch those people and go like, whoa, he's living such a great life. I got to do whatever I can to like live that kind of life. And it's not as good as it may seem.
Did I mention that Rocket Money is also sponsoring this episode? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Like for me, for example, it turns out I'm just like most Americans who think that they're spending around $80 a month on subscriptions, but for me and most average Americans, it was actually closer to $200. Rocket Money shows you all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels anything you don't want for you. It can even find subscriptions that you didn't know you were paying for. Like, yes, I did find out that I was being double charged for Spotify. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Padilla. That's rocketmoney.com/Padilla. That's rocketmoney.com/Padilla. Now let's get back into it.
When I first started my own channel, it was exciting. So there was this wave of like excitement, like I'm finally free. Here we go. I'm an authentic creator now, like everyone else. I'm not a weirdo, a weird imposter, like narc that's coming in working for this company.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think that was the beginning of like feeling burnt out on content creation, which obviously like there was so much being generated, but I didn't want to ever acknowledge that I should slow down that much, especially because those conversations in like 2012, 2013, like YouTube was starting to be in the spotlight. Like we were getting opportunities that were like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So how could you let in any negative thoughts about slowing down or the need to rest or the need or to recognize any sort of, I don't know, pain going on at all or struggle? And I remember in like 2018, 2019, just having such a crisis about that without having the language around the feelings I was having to figure it out or to investigate it. I remember editing videos and starting to feel like an alien editing a person that looked like me, but I didn't know who this person is.
Because you didn't identify, like what was it that felt so foreign about it?
I was having, I think, this very dissociative sort of moment where I was unfamiliar with who I was if I wasn't this person performing for a camera. Did you ever feel like a confusion with like who you were online versus who you were offline?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I feel like if I go back and look at any video that I made where I wasn't doing something scripted, when I watch it, it feels like I'm not looking at myself speaking because I am being who I thought that I needed to appear as.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it needed to line up with this idea of who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And after I left Smosh, I had to completely reevaluate everything because, first of all, when I left and I started making videos on my own, I got so many views, like 1 million views each. And I thought, oh, this is great. I think it's gonna be pretty easy. People came here for me and I'm just gonna keep being me.
Yeah.
Then the views start to plummet and it's scary because you have millions of people now watching your views plummet. And when my identity is attached to the success of this and those numbers,
Yep.
I had this period of feeling like I was a failure. I wasn't capable. The thing that I made in the past was the only thing that I would ever be known for.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm going to have to completely uproot and reevaluate every single aspect of what I thought I was. And that's scary to to feel like you're completely starting from scratch.
And also to really have to investigate, why are you doing this? You get so caught up in numbers and trying to appease audiences that you lose sight of just like why you started making it in the first place, because you're trying to keep up and stay relevant, and you forget, at least I forgot like what it felt like to make someone laugh for no other reason other than that connection. I was unconsciously growing very attached to like people watching and number systems. When I started to see numbers go down, it was like, oh my God, now this hyperfixation on numbers going down and not knowing what to do and having a pure panic about it versus like sitting with myself and reflecting on anything.
Did you ever feel this struggle to remain relevant?
Oh yeah, of course. And it was so embarrassing because you couldn't hide that you were becoming irrelevant. Everything's public, it's a public forum, and no one prepares you for the idea that like numbers are fun when they go up, not so fun when they go down.
Really?
Yeah, no one really like talks you through that or walks you
Did
with
you
your
get like
hand.
comments and stuff saying that kind of thing?
I got, a lot of comments here and there. And then I went through this like really dark phase where I felt like some retired football player that would like get drunk and watch my old videos and be like, that's when I was my best.
Remember the good old
Oh my
days?
God, I can't believe I thought of that.
Yeah.
That was,
I used to be a genius.
I was so good. I was so good. And then I would know what I was doing in doing that and then feel so embarrassed that I would do that. And it just felt like this weird spiral that you had to be like, it's just keep going. Just keep going. You'll find yourself. And the reality was I hadn't found myself. I lost myself completely. And I had to go find myself again to now I'm just still at the threshold of deciding if and how I want to make content.
There's a point where you are so unhappy that anything is better than that current trajectory you're on, you know? And
Was it tempting to stay in it? Because
well, it's tempting to stay in it because you want to be somebody who like people know and you want your videos to do well and you want people to come tune in. But if you have enough of that and you still wake up feeling like shit every day, then you start to go like, well, that's not the answer for me. What is the answer? And so you try other things. And part of that was like realizing that I didn't have an answer for myself and I had to like seek outside help.
you know, you were just saying yes to everything, and at the height of what people would, from the outside, consider successful, consider relevant, consider in the public eye, and you got to a point where you said, I'm going to take a step away. And I feel like coming from a place where the internet is such uncharted territory and people aren't talking about at the time how there is that constant strive to be relevant, or else in some senses, in many cases, people feel like they're nothing if they're not relevant, especially if the comments start coming in and saying these types of things. You eventually had to make the choice, I'm going to step away and I don't care if I get those kinds of comments.
I was at a point where I would get back to my living room and sit down to film a video, and I probably have so much footage of me just being like, who cares? Like me trying to say sentences and then be like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about what I'm saying. Nobody like.
So like, you'll get caught up on like the way you're saying something.
Caught up on the fact that I'm wasting everybody's time to assuming anybody would want to tune in to hear what I have to think or say. And it was like, I felt like I had already said and done everything. I had got all my thoughts were out there is what I felt like, because I was a faucet that was turned on for years and years and years and years. It's like, what haven't I said yet? What haven't, like it has all been said. Like I felt like I was creating because I was already in a habit of every Friday or every Tuesday or whatever, and like thinking I just needed to continue doing that. And so I started to like really hate the process of making videos, and I would sit in front of the camera and feel like tears as I'm trying to just get through what will end up being a 3-minute, hey everyone, how's everyone's life? And here's what I was up to this week. And blah, blah,
Is that the
blah.
Tyler Oakley performer voice? Is
Yeah.
Do you
And-
think when people hear that, they'll be nostalgic?
No, I don't know. For me, it's triggering, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, when I see a video, oh my God, and it's like, it's me. I got into a habit of like starting every video with, I'm like, I don't even want to do it, but it's like, oh.
Don't
It's
do
so
you don't have to do
gross.
it. You don't have to do it.
It's like, well, hello everyone. My name is Tyler Oakley, and it's like that high pitch and like cheery millennial.
Is it millennial?
Oh well, that's what the kids say now.
Because it became so trendy in that time.
It was just YouTuber voice. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
I like no longer even recognize that as like me anymore.
Like when you go and look at it?
When I watch it now, it's
Yeah.
like it is a bizarro version of me who is performing how they think YouTuber Tyler does content, and it's like it is. I feel gratitude to be far away from it.
For having experienced it and for having
Absolutely. Yeah, I have so much gratitude for every door it's opened, and I have so much gratitude that I am through that door and all the way over there.
So you're telling me that people have the capability of change and growth? What?
Ooh.
What? You're not a time capsule of who
I'll
you were
try.
15 years ago?
Well, in some ways I am, and in some ways I'm not. And like, I think that's really hard for people to understand, that like anybody that you know through the internet or through culture in some capacity, like celebrity or anything like that, you don't know them at all. You know 1% of them, even if it seems like they are giving 100% to you via vlog every day and blah blah blah. You really are getting a curated version.
So what is different now about the way that you present yourself? publicly?
I respect my boundaries in terms of like knowing that some things are for me, and not everything has to be content, and not everything that I enjoy has to be content or monetized. And it's okay to have a day of rest, and that does not mean it's a day of nothing.
Would you say that your Twitch stuff is what you're most excited about moving into the future?
Oh my God, yeah. I've been doing it now for 2 years, and it has made me re-fall in love with content creating. It makes me feel all of the feelings that I felt when I was 18 as a YouTuber, wanting to be a YouTuber. It is every day I'm learning about the process in the same ways I was learning about that process. And it's like I am living this parallel experience 10 years later, hopefully with a little bit of sprinkles of knowledge from the first time of what I can do better, or how I can balance better or set boundaries better. And I think that I'm like doing those things. And I feel so much more authentically myself. Because kind of you have no choice. Like you can't really do a facade. Not that I'm like trying to, but like you
For
couldn't do a facade for hours and hours with no breaks. It's like, it feels so good. And I don't know if I've ever ended a stream in a worse vibe than when I started. Even if the stream goes bad, even if like something technically goes wrong, like the experience of that stream, I usually am ending in such a better mood.
What are you most excited about moving forward now that you have this perspective?
Man, I am really excited to give myself permission to find the silly again. Because I also have a tendency to get very serious in the way that I process and reflect and think about persona and think about all these different avenues in which the internet world has affected my psychology for better or worse. And I have to remind myself that it's not all that serious sometimes. And so in the past, comedy was always a healing tool for me and really allowed me as the introverted person to feel like I had a voice and to feel like I connected with people. Because when you laugh with someone, it is just like so bonding. It's so connecting and it's so beautiful. And I really started to like resent comedy because it was associated with this whole world that was like making me feel bad. And I want to get back to loving to make people laugh again.
So, you know, your future little Kassem's running around. You don't want to.
I want to be a dad. Yeah, I want to be a dad, and I've got a great girlfriend, and I can't wait to like make a family with her. And so part of that is like making sure that if I do have a kid or if I have a daughter, you know, one day, and she's like gets to the age where she's like, used to be something. What happened? You know,
and then they look it up.
And she looks it up. She's not going through and seeing me like, you know, like verbally abuse sex workers or like, you know, stars and things like that. And I think some of that stuff was funny, but I'm also to the point where it's like, it doesn't add anything by having that stuff up.
Like the world isn't a better place.
It's not a better place for it. It's like you get the people that really liked it. They're very into it. I get messages weekly about, hey man, what the frick? You know, put those back.
Going deep. I need it.
Yeah, I learned so much about which is not a good. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that held your hand through your first like star. You know. I'd like to just grow up like with my content, like you did, and be able to make content that's reflective and of my current age, which is 39, and I don't want to be ashamed, or I don't want like a future child of mine to look at it and be like, I'm sorry if you were a fan of those. I think that we had a great time making them. I definitely had a great time making them, but it wasn't, that's not something I think part of my legacy. I'd like to feel like I'm still working on whatever my legacy will be. And so I am okay with sunsetting that part of my content career because it doesn't I don't feel like it represents the person I am today.
Did you know you were like one of my first YouTube crushes? Not to be like that.
I didn't
but
know
Dan
that.
told you, so I was like, I can tell you. I got a meet and greet picture with you once, and I was like, oh my god.
As someone that waited in line? As like as a fan?
No, I think it was like at a partner mixer.
That's not a meet and greet.
It was for me. I don't know. For me, it felt. I put that on my Facebook.
Oh,
I was
shit.
like, look who I met, y'all.
Did I was probably trying to live up to the expectation
You were
that you had
so
of me.
sweet and kind.
Did I live up to the expectation that you had
Yeah.
of me?
Yeah.
Good. So all my stress and worry about living up to expectations
You
was
were
for a good
wonderful.
reason. I mean, you also were there by my side when I wounded myself to the degree of having to get stitches. So you were kind of a nurturing figure in my life.
Thank you. You're welcome, actually.
We went from meet and greet to father figure real quick.
Father? How old are you?
35.
You could run for president.
Oh shit, is it at 35?
Yeah, baby.
Oh, all right.
Why are you standing?
Yo, I got a new job. I got something else to go do right now.